Scott, nice to see you. So the big theme, one of the big themes of this weekend is community, right? Community absolutely changed my life. I was so lucky to have ended up here in Austin. I got sober in Austin. I discovered the running community here in Austin, and it absolutely transformed it. Now, one of the first individuals I'm going to introduce you to is the owner. Operating what? We're going to say owner. He's the owner. He's the owner of Fleet Feet Austin. He has put together one of the most incredible communities and running communities here in Austin. I will tell you, me first starting off in my running career, it was so nerve-wracking showing up to a run. Everybody's got their shirts off. It's like every dude out there is chiseled for some reason. Very, very nerve-wracking thing. I showed up at Fleet Feet, and they absolutely made me feel like it was a family. So first of all, Audie, Mr. Audie Perez, I want to thank you, sir, for everything you've done for me since day one. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, Shawn.
How we doing?
Having a great day.
Good. Bro, you're used to jumping up and talking in front of people, so let me ask you, dude. So you're what was your, just a little bit of your history running? You're a big time runner.
I was, or at least my history was like bouncing a basketball and running. So I was introduced to both sports pretty early on, but I don't know if y'all noticed, I'm not 6'10", so one of those two things worked in favor. Mm-hmm. And it has basically carried me to this point. And so I've been, I'm in the middle now of my 19th year in the running industry, but have been running since like second grade, man, to some degree. Competitively, summer track, high school, collegiately. And yeah, now it's a little bit different flavor, but I think it's even, for what it's worth, even more valuable these days.
What would you say is the biggest thing running has given you?
You. This.
Ooh,
I mean,
one.
People, you know what I mean? Like, I grew up on the Gulf Coast in Corpus Christi, which is not a glorious city by any means, but I think I am fortunate enough, one, to have a family that loves me and took really good care of me, and two, to have had the opportunity to take the best of what my hometown was and the hard lessons that I learned along the way, in whatever version of that is for me, but the best parts. And I'll be damned if I haven't been surrounded by good people the entire way. So yeah, I mean, the best part of what running has brought is like every person that's been to this point, and I look forward to meeting the next person here tonight and tomorrow, and welcoming them to the space just the same.
What would you say to somebody that they immediately hear the word running and they're like, oh, I can't do that. I can't do that. It's too hard, right? If you were going to sell somebody on why they should run, what would you say?
Well, don't do it. If they don't want to do it, you know what I mean? It is fun, and I'm kidding, but you know, I work in a retail space, and we essentially at Fleet Feet, we educate people on the proper size of their shoe or their feet for shoes and insoles and all sorts of things. And it's like, the less that we can make it about that, and the more I can make it about a human connection, we help a lot more than like able-bodied athletes. So I would imagine, proportionally speaking, there's not a lot of people that come through our door that identify as a runner, and it's our job, I think it's my industry's job as well, to make sure that that person that's coming through who has maybe heard of us or heard of the service that we offer, that's holding their breath and that's nervous to come in for the first time, maybe like what you would describe, Shawn. Look at Shawn, guys. Like, he's a big, intimidating dude, you know, and for him to be vulnerable enough to come to a space where he was maybe uncomfortable, it's my job, I think, and our mission, maybe my mission at least, to make sure that I'm the biggest weirdo in the room, so he feels that much more comfortable and he knows I'm here to help him and connect, whether it be Shawn or the next person. So that's what we basically do in form. We just happen to be a run shop. Easy enough.
Love it. So much more than it's not just a shoe store. It's a whole community. It's a whole, it's everything, dude. It's the heartbeat of the running community. Don't tell Austin Marathon I said that, though. What would you say is different? I'm sure you've been all around the country, if not the world, running, saw different cultures and all that kind of stuff. What would you say is original, or why is Austin's running community special?
Yeah, I think I think Austin, it's growing, and we know that it's changed, right? It changed to what it was. And you can be the old man yelling at clouds. I'm like, oh, I knew Austin went. Blah, blah, blah. No, dude, like whatever, right? We're on our way to being a big city, but from like an atmosphere standpoint, I think people here are ambitious, and people here, I get the notion that they genuinely are here to help other people, at least the people that I want to work alongside and surround myself with. And that means something, you know? So I don't want to get on a soapbox about it, but I do think the word community can be a bit of a cop-out, and I don't like that. And I don't want to be a part of anything that's like inauthentic. And the antithesis of that is like waking up every day and thinking, how can I help the next person? How can we bring more people together? And sure, work is work, right? Whatever sort of discipline that we offer, I'm just grateful enough and have an opportunity to be able to leverage a platform to be able to bring people together. And that means something to me.
Let's go. Now, one of the things I always talk about and I always say is at the end of the day, we're all recovering from something. For me, it was drugs and alcohol. For everybody, it could be anything like that. What would you say, you know, it doesn't have to be specific or anything like that, but could you give an example of maybe some adversity that you've overcome in your life and then how you did it?
I think, I guess a lesson that I've learned is there's a big difference between motivation and discipline. And one wanes and one is deeply ingrained, you know? And I mean, on a proportionally speaking, like you're allowed to have bad days, guys, whether you're an employee or we're all human beings. Like I tell my staff members upon entry into an interview, like you are allowed to be a human being. I want this place to be the safest that it can possibly be for you. I want you to be able to have a bad day, and I want you to be able to flunk a test, and I want you to be able to, I don't know, have marital issues or like just real life happen, and I want you to know that you're safe here. And so on my end, once I was able, hopefully, to identify like what that looks like, I'm not perfect either. I maybe expect perfection from myself. I like try my best to, but I think learning that lesson where me as a leader for my team, for the city that I love, for my family, for my name, maybe, I wanna do good, and I wanna challenge myself to like show up every day. And I have my bad days. I'm tired, you know. I make mistakes, but I think I work pretty hard and pretty honestly. And what is difficult at times is making sure that I'm just able to answer the bell. And so whether it be macro or micro things that have come through in my life, like I can always fall back on running. I don't talk about my running a lot, guys. If we've ever crossed paths, like I really don't like talking about that because it's not about me, and I'm just humbled to be a part of this thing. And I've had my fair share of like successes and wins, literal or otherwise. But when things get tough, I can always come back to like center, getting out the door and putting one foot in front of the other. And that's like a really, really humbling thing.
Well, brother, you are a beacon in this community. Please don't ever stop doing what you're doing, because you give people a chance just like you did for me. And I will forever be eternally grateful, and I will forever shout your name, Fleet Feet, and everything about you from the rooftops. So thank you for everything.
So welcome,
please give Ari Perez a round of applause, please. Moving right on down the line, can you please pass the mic to your left, my right?
I didn't know where we started with. I thought we could start that way.
We had to start off strong. Hello, ma'am.
Hi, Shawn. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Would you like to introduce yourself and maybe tell them who you are and what you do?
Well, I do want to say Audie won't brag on himself, and he has some running accolades he didn't talk about. But no, I'm Megan Frosto, and I'm here with the Austin Marathon, and we're just excited. Like Audie said, we love the community and what running brings to it.
Now, Megan and her wonderful husband, who's here in attendance, Brian, were some of the first people that I met when I was going to Fleet Feet, some of the first people I got cool with in the running community. Now, my vision of the running community was so scary because I'm coming into the running community, a recovering addict, just getting out of prison, all these things I'm super vulnerable about and in my head about. And it's people like this who made me feel welcome, made me feel like I was a part immediately, showed me all the kindness in the world, was always there to talk to me and everything like that. So you guys will always hold a special place in my heart. Thank you so much.
You're super welcome. It was so great to meet you. And like Audie said about the running community, he started at Fleet Feet. That was when we moved here 7 years ago. That was our first place to find community. Brian went in, their first store opened in Seahome, and he bought me a pair of shoes while I was out of town. And he said, Audie, I'm pretty sure my wife will return these and we'll be back. And after that, I did return them. We were back and we became great friends with this guy and we were there running Friday runs ever since. So my husband does know me.
Now, I don't believe you'll brag on yourself, but every time I see anything about you posted on social media, you're in the mountains somewhere on some crazy mountain bike, or you're doing something extreme. So like running is your thing, but what else is your thing? What else do you do?
So we believe in movement any way that it brings you peace of mind and community. And so as much as we love running, we also, you can get miles other ways too. And so we kind of started dabbling in the mountain biking space. And I get a lot of emails that say I signed up for things I didn't register for, and I have to make a phone call and see what I got into that day. And Brian made some calls and gave me an event that he really wanted to do, and it was a 8-day stage race in South Africa. And I said, wow, I did not sign up for that, and I'm gonna have to figure out how to do this. But when we speak about community and what it can bring to you, regardless if it's running, because that's what got me out the door and always running, but my husband wanted to take a mountain bike race and do this event. And we're on the I Am Redemption podcast here and changing lives and overcoming, sobriety as well. And after some tragic family deaths that had happened in our life and on his side of the family, we needed an event in a community that scared us enough to get back on that. And I can say that the endurance community brought Brian sobriety, because you want to show up for that event and you want to be able to be the best, because it's a team event. So we're racing as a team. I can tell you, if you race with your significant other and you survive these crazy races, it's a testament. There will be arguing and you'll come out the other side because you got to get home together. But the running community and then going on to that mountain bike event I knew I did it because it brought sobriety in that way. And so that changed our lives as well, and as well as your podcast. And, we've talked about my brother and stuff. So it's been great.
Babe, are we going to run a race now? They run races together. You ready? You down?
It's really good marriage counseling, I will tell you. You run it. We started as racing, so it was always running. I begged him to do he got us into it, the endurance racing. So I begged to do for our honeymoon, why not a 50K? We really wanted to do this 50K in New Zealand. Why not? And so we did that, and so I owed him the mountain biking. But there's fighting on both, but you get through it. It's a lot of communication, and everyone needs a snack.
Now you're talking my wife's language right there.
Need snacks.
The snacks.
Yes.
There was a time we were at the Austin Marathon this year, and we were at the expo, and I was lucky enough to have a table at the expo, and there was a couple that had come in, and the guy had seen my documentary 100 Miles to Redemption, and he came up and he was all hyped and he was psyched about it and all that, and he was running his first marathon. They were in from Canada. You remember what I'm about to say?
I think so.
The next day, the guy showed up, and I'm busy at the table, and I'm talking to all these people, and for those that have seen the documentary, he came up and he was super vulnerable, and I could tell, and his kind of eyes were tearing up and all that. And he's like, hey man, like I have something, will you sign it for me? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And he pulled out a little mini basketball. And so for anybody that's seen the documentary, my nickname to my whole family is B-Ball. My little sister couldn't say Shawn when she was little, so B-Ball it was. And so he busted that out, and I signed the ball and I held it together for as long as I could, and then I beelined for the door because I had to go let some water out. And Megan was right there, and she was the first person. And Megan has been super vulnerable with me and sharing her experience in the family that she had, that has suffered from addiction. Hopefully it's right that I'm saying that. Mm-hmm. And she was the perfect person in that moment to share with. It was a beautiful moment, so I thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So you do Austin Marathon, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm saying, like, you're the person.
We just, we get it done.
Right.
We're here to produce a great running event for everyone.
What is it like for you to see people coming in and you see them at the expo and they're all hyped up and they're getting ready to run their first half marathon, their first marathon, and then you see how they feel when they're done? Like, what is that like for you, seeing that you get to do that for work?
I get pretty emotional at the start line. We're starting at the expo, then the start line, then the finish line. We work 365 days a year to produce this event for everyone. It's for all runners. We have people email us in that say, if I walk, am I going to be disqualified? And we say, no, you can skip backwards if you want to, as long as you're getting to the finish line. And it's the fact that we want to put on an experience, because we know that whenever someone takes on the commitment to do this event or do any endurance event altogether, that you're committing to the discipline like Audie talked about, and being able to train and show up. And everyone's story is different. Everyone has a different reason why they're running that day. We might have the pro field go out and they're doing their thing, but everyone else has a different reason. It's their first marathon ever, their first half, their first 5K. We have all three distances. And it might be their first one back after grief. It might be their first one back after a really hard time at work or a layoff or any kind of reason. Maybe they survived cancer and they're coming back and they want to be able to show up that day for their journey. And so we're celebrating every single person's journey. And it's beautiful. I really think if you want to see the best in humanity, you have to do an endurance event. I prefer you to do the Austin Marathon half or 5K, but do any of the events, because you really will. Everyone's vulnerability just comes down once you start getting their heart rate up. Let's get past zone 2 and everyone will start talking quickly, and we could solve a lot of problems if more people ran and had meetings.
One of the other things that she's helped me see and understand was when I was first getting sober, you know what I mean? I thought I could only, when I spoke, I thought I could only ever affect the recovery community, people that were in recovery. And then I started noticing that it's people like Megan who are far more common than the addicts ourselves, is the families that suffer from the actions of the addicts. And so I knew if my words could hit her and make a difference to her, then I started realizing that all of us addicts sitting in this room are capable of far more than we thought possible and affecting people we didn't ever think were possible. And so for anybody that may be sitting in the crowd or that's going to watch this episode that's had a loved one and has gone through what you've gone through and they're currently going through it now, what would your advice be to them?
I would say, don't ever give up. Always keep loving on them. Always. That's what we're here to do. Tell them to listen to Shawn's podcast so that they can know that they're not alone. No one's ever alone. No permanent solution for a non-permanent permanent situation. Sorry, that was a mom quote that she always threw at me. But just to know that it's possible to change, that anyone can change, and that, you know, if they find a community like you and pushing them that way, that there'll be a way to help them before it's too late. And, you know, I'd love to see that outcomes happen where people get to be able to recover. I lost my brother to an overdose, and I wish he would have had a community like this to impact him, and it would have been life-changing, because sometimes it just can't be the family only. You need more voices where they feel included.
Thank you. What do you think? Go, yeah. What makes the Austin running community unique or special?
It's the #1 city in America. Just kidding. No, it's so diverse. You go downtown and we have this huge city, like Audie said. We're becoming a big city. And the fact that we have a 10-mile trail that you can just run and have an opportunity to go to, as well as the diversity that Audie spoke to as well of the different running groups. We know all the different running groups. There's different ones popping up. There's a running group for every different person's cause. If you want to be a part of something with a community that people believe in you, or they also believe in your mission and what they're doing, there's a place for someone everywhere. And I feel like, different from other cities, there is a run group for everyone in this community to be able to find their people.
Perfect. Everybody, let's give it up for Megan, please. Now, if you are someone in the crowd that is brave enough to ever go out and try Austin Half Marathon, Megan has been so kind. We are giving away 2 free entries into Austin Half Marathon. All that money that you donate to try to get to those entries is going to Kaylee. So please, by the door, go back there and see them on your way out, or at some point like that. Try to get that race, and we will see you out there on the start line. Megan, thank you. We'll give her one more round of applause. Now, Now we got one. How we doing, sir?
Doing well.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
My name's Terrence Ogden. I have a organization I started called Official Project Grit, which is started primarily as ultra-distance rucking events, and we have now added some shorter distances to have like a ladder effect to get people more into running.
Love it. So I met Terrence on my first ruck march post-military. I'll be honest, I used to look at as I would run, because I was a runner, heart of hearts. I would see people rucking, and I was like, look at those lazy motherfuckers. They don't want to run. Then I put a ruck on and went rucking for a little while and quickly realized that it's a different story. It's just as taxing. So Terrence and I met one day on a run, and within about 20 minutes, I realized he was my new best friend, that we come from very, very similar worlds. We've been tight ever since. And one of the things I will say is anybody in Texas knows that we just had the floods in Kerrville. And the night that all happened, I looked over at my wife and I said, I'm going. And she looked back at me and she was like, you're not going. The next morning, I got a call from one man. It was that man over there. He said, I'm going down to Kerrville. You going? I went in and I told her I was going, and then we were down there. So I will forever be bonded with Terrence for that. Terrence is one of the few people that I know that that man is there to answer the call no matter what. You go a lifetime without finding people like that. He's somebody that I know I could call day or night, doesn't matter how far away I am, he's going to come pick my ass up. So Terrence is getting ready to do one of the most incredible things I've ever heard. This tonight is his send-off party, so please, everybody, make sure you give him some support. But Terrence is getting ready to ruck 1,000 miles across the state of Texas, starting
Thursday, October 2nd, sunrise, south of Port Arthur, a little town called Sabine Pass. It's where the Gulf in Louisiana and Texas meet. And yeah, cut up through Port Arthur, go through Houston, into the Brenham area, down through Round Top, through Austin, Dripping Springs, Fredericksburg, out to Junction, head on out to, when I get to Balmorhea, I'll head south down through the Davis Mountains, cut back up to Van Horn, go to the top of Texas, Guadalupe Peak, and then down through El Paso, where Texas, New Mexico, and Mexico meet on top of a mountain right there called Mount Cristo Rey with the Statue of Christ.
what was it that inspired you to start on this?
So 23 years ago, I was strung out on heroin. And this one man, Kenny Baker, basically pulled me out of the gutter. And he was a bad dude, covered in prison tattoos, said, try me across the front of his neck. And when I met Kenny, I knew that Kenny was just as messed up as I was, or worse. And he taught me a new way to live. And one of those ways he taught me was facing whatever my fears are, whatever I don't want to do, go and do that and do more of it until I find out what that's all about. Long story short, we had a good run of about 11 years. He got esophageal cancer and died. That I found out, I was in the Rocky Mountain National Park. I had to go up to the top of the mountain to get reception, and got the word that he had died, and I didn't know what to do. I thought I'd lost my rock. And I just got out of that truck, and I just started running. I don't know why. It was July 4th, and it started snowing. I came up over a ridge and spooked a herd of elk, and that was Kenny talking to me, you know, and it was like, okay, I hate fucking running. And so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to start running. Signed up for a 50K, never did any running, didn't train very well for it, went and did it, kicked my ass, went on to do marathons, half marathons, all the distances. Still really don't like running, but I know what that's all about. And during that time, I learned about rucking, and it was like an equalizer for me. And long story short, I'm an 8th generation Texan, and I always wanted to do something for Texas Independence Day. So I came up with this route from Gonzales to the Alamo. It's 75 miles. Talked a guy into doing it with me, and we went and did that route. And halfway through that route, he started falling behind me. And like the competitive side of me started getting real frustrated with him. And I looked back, and he was falling back, and something inside me had me turn around. And I was pissed off when I got to him. I was like, this dude's slowing me down. I wanted to ditch him. And when I saw him on the ground, I saw myself. And I remember when Kenny reached that hand out there to help me out when I was at my lowest point. And he was at a low point, you know, and I was able to give him some words of wisdom. We stood up, and I was like, I ain't gonna ditch you, dude. We're gonna finish this thing. We finished that 75 miler together. And it was at that moment that I realized that was my purpose. It wasn't about doing something extreme. It wasn't about doing something crazy distance. It was about one man helping another man out in his lowest point. And since then, we've done that ruck 6 years. And I have a series of other events that I do. And through doing that, I've built up a community that's so solid and so strong. I can call on any one of those guys, and any time somebody's going to be there. And community saved my life. And that's what Project Grit's all about. And last November, I was sitting around, and I was like, I know I can do 100 miles. I know I can do 75 miles. I've led well over 100 people through that 75 mile. What's something that I'm not sure that I can full-heartedly say I can complete? And I was like, has anybody rucked across Texas? And to the best of my knowledge, no one has. A lot of people have ran across the state, which rode their bikes, which is typically an 850-mile trek. And I was like, what would make that cooler? 1,000 miles sounds a lot better. And so I developed a 1,000-mile route, and nobody 3/4 of the way across Texas decided to climb the highest peak. So it kind of tells my story, going from the bottom to the top and giving it all to something greater. So that's what the 1,000-mile ruck all means to me, is to show this world that we're built for more that we think we can, or what anybody else thinks that we can, you know, and that's about it, man.
I did a post last week. One of the things I said in the post was, this group of people that I have up on this stage, I will put this group of people up against anybody. They're some of the most badass individuals I've ever met in my life. Anybody that says, I'm gonna go do 1,000 miles and climb Fort Davis in it, let's go, bro. Let's go. I will be following along the entire way. I'm gonna be talking to him along the way. Please stay tapped in with me. We're gonna be doing some IG lives while he's out on the trail. And then where can somebody follow you as you do this?
So there's a couple places. You can go to my Instagram, which will have most of my live updates as I'm doing the trek, which is at Official Project Grit. You can also go to my website, officialprojectgrit.com. There's a bunch of information on there. I have a newsletter that'll be continually telling the story of what we're doing. You can sign up, check out my events there. We got a little bit of a merch page there, but that's the best ways to get in touch with me.
They're currently filming a documentary on this is about to go down. Do you know what it's going to be called yet?
I believe it, right now the title's Built for More.
Let's go. What would you say to anybody that's out there currently struggling, whether it's with substance abuse, mental health, any of that kind of stuff? They're currently out there struggling. What is your best piece of advice for them?
Best piece of advice I could get to anybody out there struggling. I don't know. I'm a man, and I was brought up with that John Wayne mentality, you know, figure it out, kid, you know, toughen up. And that's all solid to a certain point. The best advice I could give to anybody, if you're in a low spot in your life, the hardest thing for me to ever do was to ask another man to help me out. And once I overcame that fear, everything became possible. And through that, and you know, working with that one dude, Kenny, I was like, man, this dude, he's been through the ringer, you know, and I know that he's just as jacked up as I am, or worse. And if he can do it, then maybe I can. And maybe if I do what he does, I could get what he has. And that was it, man. The biggest piece of advice is don't be afraid to ask somebody for help.
Everybody, please let's give it up for Terrence. Now, I forgot to do a couple things. First of all, I want to thank Ritual, Ladybird, and anybody else that donated drinks to us. I greatly appreciate it. And I forgot one of the most important things, so we're going to pause 1 second, y'all. Kaylee, can I get you to come back up here? You still in here? Kaylee, come back up here for me real quick. If I mess up these camera shots, guys, I'm sorry. So, I don't know if y'all noticed. Oh, my man, what are you doing, Ezra? Good to see you, bub. I don't know if you guys noticed on your way in, but there is a beautiful handcrafted American flag back there, right? Every single one of those stars has been hand laid. There's no flag they're all one of a kind. There's no that are similar like others. an Air Force veteran. He made those. It's called, what is it, Wars? Where's it at? War's End. Check it out on Instagram. But we have something very special for Kaylee. Kaylee is getting ready to set out on the Special Olympics coming up. And so I'm going to bring my boy Dustin up here, and we're going to present her with something. This is for you, and this is what we want you to know how much we support you, how much we love you, and how proud of you we are, okay? There you go. This was also donated to us by Dustin right here. He made this happen. Hold it up for everybody. What do you got? What do you got right there?
That is a special Olympics.
Special Olympics? Because you're about to be an Olympian, right?
Yes, because I'm doing 100 meter on my freestyle, and then my 50 backstroke, and my 50 breaststroke.
Everybody give it up for her. We love you. Thank you. What? Hey, look at the camera real quick. Good job. Love you. All right. Thank you. There you go. All right. Now, we have another extremely badass community builder here. She has been on the show, I Am Redemption. I don't know if she knows this, but she has absolutely one of the biggest episodes I Am Redemption's ever had. It's still to this day is in the top 3. It's still even that much longer. Miss Julia Rene, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, it's my honor. So, Julia, I've been following on Instagram. She's super inspirational. She is a community builder of women. She is an IFBB Pro, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just got done doing like 3 back-to-back shows? 4 back-to-back shows. Now, I don't know if you guys know anything about bodybuilders, but if you see a bodybuilder do one show, what do you think the normal way to describe a bodybuilder in prep is?
Don't go up to them.
Right.
They'll bite your finger off.
Yeah.
They're hungry, they're tired, but it's so worth it. I think this season, I have never been able to do 4 shows before. My max was 2, and there was just something different about this season where I was like, I wanted more. I wanted to see how much further I could push my mind and my body, and it was so worth it.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Now, much like she just said, you don't want to approach a bodybuilder. You don't know if they're in prep or not. And so I knew who she was. And I was walking out of Gold's one day, and there she was on the stair stepper. And I said, here's my chance. We're going to get her on the show. Was very nervous to go up to her. She immediately said yes. And then the rest is history. So thank you for that.
I honestly forgot that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
How
I was
random.
on prep.
You were?
I was.
And you still said yes, and you smiled the whole time.
I did. I
Outstanding.
was happy to be there.
You have built an amazing community of women. You do the online social thing. What does that feel like for you to not only be successful in what you're doing on your personal endeavors, but to be able to impact women on a whole like you do?
Oh, it's unreal. Little me wouldn't believe that anyone would be listening to me right now. I created the Know Your Power company. It's a women's empowerment company, and we do health, fitness, mindset, the whole scope, because I'm a firm believer that, like, you can have the physique that you want all day, but if your inner world isn't a direct reflection, it's not going to make any difference. I've been the leanest I've ever been and still hated the way that I looked. I've been the heaviest that I've ever been, still hated the way that I looked. And this entire company was built on just one simple phrase that keeps me going in times where I don't even believe in myself, and that's, you're more powerful than you think. You are always more powerful than you think. Like, our mind and our body can go so much further than we give it credit for. I mean, what? You make me look like a weenie. And I just wanted to share that message with as many women as I could, because especially for us women, like, there's so many things in this world that are already bringing us down, and we don't need to be also doing that to ourselves. So if I can be that person to help them see that power that they have in them, and if that means I have to put myself through a crap ton of shows, if I have to prepare for a jiu-jitsu fight in a month with no training, then I will do that. If it means that they can see, oh, well, if she can do that, then maybe I can do this. And that's unbeatable.
Hell yeah. Now, I remember back when we did our episode, again, I go back to we're all recovering from something. And so can you give the people an example of maybe some adversity that you've had to overcome and then how you've done that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it doesn't make sense. It's the bodybuilder who had a binge eating disorder for years and didn't even know or tell anybody. Those two things don't go together for a professional bodybuilder. It was only, I think it was in 2020, though, that I realized I had wrestled for years. I've been competitively dieting since I was 15. Nobody taught me how. I was spitting in water bottles, wearing sauna suits to make weight. And then I got into bodybuilding, and I was 3 weeks out from my first show, and then COVID hit, and I couldn't control myself. I thought there was something wrong with me, that I was broken, and it felt like I was at this bottom of the well and I couldn't get out. And then the gym was taken away from me, my place where I go to figure things out, let it all go, move the energy. And I thought about giving up bodybuilding because I thought, how could a bodybuilder struggle with food and not have any control? Those two things don't go together. But I think that thought scared me more, to give up the thing that I love for this eating disorder. And now that might be some people's journey. I totally respect their journey. But I was like, no, I'm not doing that. So I got the help that I needed and then eventually became an IFBB Pro.
Let's go.
Yeah.
What would you... So most people, years of training people, I always see the thing that kept me out of the gym for years, I say it all the time, was I didn't want to go in there and feel like I looked dumb. I thought everybody was going to be looking at me, so I stayed away from it. That's traditionally what got me into running. So what would you say to somebody out there that they see you and they're like, oh my God, she's so in shape, I can't be in there. What would you say to somebody that is scared to go in the gym, and what's your advice of why they should get in there?
I was that girl too. I would grab my little dumbbells. I'd go hide in the Gold's workout room. If anybody came in, I was like, I was that girl too. Everyone's going to start off that way, but the gym is for everybody. It is for everybody. It doesn't matter if you're an IFBB Pro, literally doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's your first day, you're 3 years in, you're 1 month in. The gym is a space for everybody, especially women. So you walk in there with your dumbbells, you walk right in front of those dudes because you deserve a place there too. I know that it's scary and I know that it's uncomfortable, and sometimes you have to fake it a little bit until you make it. 100% did that. I never thought that I'd be able to walk in front of these guys with my little tiny dumbbells. Now I'm walking there with bigger dumbbells than them. It's possible. So you deserve a place there just as much as anybody else does.
Let's go. So in my experience, people walk in, you see somebody like Julia, you see this monster sitting next to me, you see somebody all jacked like that, and they're the most intimidating people in the world. But what I can tell you from personal experience are those are the people in the gym that get it the most. Everybody had to start off on day one, and what I can tell you is if somebody looks like that, they have a passion for this thing. You really want to see about somebody's passion? Ask somebody that looks like either one of them how to do an exercise. They're going to love to tell you. I have this knowledge of the gym. I love sharing it, right? The biggest honor I ever had in the gym was the first time a total stranger came up to me, asked me what exercise I was doing, and could I show him how to do it. I was like, oh, I made it. I made it. I can't believe it. So I can promise you, you take a look at people like that, they might look intimidating. You might think that, but it's the complete and polar opposite. I'll speak for myself. I have never one day judged anybody for walking into the gym. I'll be honest with y'all. The only people I do judge are the people that decide not to go to the gym, right? Because there's no excuse. Overcoming that, taking that first step of getting into the gym is one of the most important things I've ever done. What would you say to somebody that's heard a little bit about your experience? They've heard eating disorder. They've heard you were the girl with the little pink dumbbells hiding in the corner and all that stuff. What is your advice to them?
For just the gym? Getting into the gym?
For the gym, life, anything. What would you tell them?
that thing that's in your heart that you really want to do, whether it's some opportunity, going to the gym, moving, it's put in your heart for a very specific reason. Like, God didn't put it there on accident. Listen to that little voice, because it's going to lead you places that you never thought were possible. And yeah, you might lose some people along the way. It's scary. And yes, it's always easier to stay exactly where you are in your comfort zone. But I'm telling you, it's put in your heart for a reason, so go for it.
Let's go. Everybody, let's give it up for Julia, please. We're moving right on down the line here. How we doing, Danny?
I'm so good. How are you, Shawn?
Doing well. Do you want to introduce yourself? Tell everyone a little bit about yourself real quick.
Sure. I'm actually really enjoying just listening to the podcast. So I just have like a really good seat. My name's Danny Smith. I am a founder and a community builder, and I love the community that is Austin, the community that is fitness, and the community that is recovery. I am in the recovery community, and so grateful for everything that has given me, and grateful every time I can give a little something back. Yeah.
Love it. Now, this fine establishment we're sitting in, Squatch Frontier Fitness, an amazing gym that I'm so glad that I found. I'd like to thank Jason Sabala for making tonight possible for us. Woo! Is Jason here? You want to wave your hand up there? Tell everyone. There you go. One of the other amazing things he did was introduce me to Danny. As soon as I started talking to him, he's like, hey, I got someone you got to meet. And I was like, all right, a lot of people do that to me. I met Danny. I was not disappointed. I met Danny. She was one of the other people down there getting her hands dirty in Kerrville without hesitation when everybody needed it. So immediately she had my respect right off the bat. You talk to her, she's got that magnetic energy you just want to be around. She's one of the most positive people that I've ever seen. So what to you, you're a community builder. What made you a community builder? Why is that important to you?
Well, first I want to say thank you to Jason for introducing us as well. Squash answers your question, actually. Squash is one of the first places that I really learned how community worked in the organic and the ways that it can be stewarded, and Jason does a really good job of that. I was chatting with him, and he was just like, you got to meet Shawn. And he mentioned this event right now. He was like, I think he's doing this event, you should be involved in that in some way. Like, you guys just got to meet. And now it's happening, and he's watching, and it's that day. And it's just kind of a cool moment to be in. But community.
Hold on, pause. He said, yeah, I don't know what he's doing. He just has all dudes on the panel. At the time, I had only asked a couple people. So then I was like, and then I met Danny. I was like, perfect, let's go. So
Yes.
anyway, go ahead.
Bringing that feminine energy, what I do best.
We need it. We need it.
Yeah, community building. I stumbled into it accidentally on purpose, like all things that are the best when we kind of are just like in the flow. And I think I had to figure out how to be a part of a community before I could build community. And I couldn't be a part of a community until I was a healthy individual. And I couldn't be a healthy individual until I got sober. And that's just how it worked for me. And so when I got sober, I was part of a, small little world of the people that I got sober with. And then my world got a little bit bigger. And there's a really long version of my story, and you can hear the longer, short version on the podcast. But really, I got sober, and then I got fit. And then I started to tap into my full potential. I started to be able to see that power that I've always felt inside of me that started getting real destructive in addiction. Now I'm feeling what that looks like in the abundance of me being out of my own way. And that just sort of naturally, then I fell into building community through a fitness community called Full Circle Social Club. And I built that for the last 15 months. And as of last month, have just moved on from that with so much gratitude and love. And that's in great hands, and it's going to continue to serve the Austin community well. And I'm building my own community called Bold Events. Bold Strategy is my business and my bread and butter. And so Bold Events just made sense. And it kind of came through in some prayer and meditation that's not why I named my company Bold. I named my company Bold because I'm bold, and I want to work with people that are willing to be bold. It's a defining characteristic of who I am, that I will go forward, and I will take the machete to the unbeaten path and go and let everybody know whether we should head that way or whether we should figure out another solution. That's just how I'm built. And then it came through in this season of learning another level of leadership, of softening, of rounding out some edges. That BOLD stands for Be Open, Love Deeply, which is the posture that I want people to have in the community that I'm creating, and letting it be one step at a time and figuring it out as I go, and not having a lot of ego in it, and just thinking about how I can serve the person next to me, the person that reminds me of who I was yesterday, a year ago, 5 years ago, because the person 2 years ago, 5 years ago, like, would not believe that I am who I am now. And I'm so proud to be her, and I'm so stoked about what she's gonna do.
So you had mentioned first that you got sober and then you got fit, right? What did it do for you? What did it do for your sobriety and your life overall in general when you were sober and then you got fit?
Yeah, it unlocked something, because it was a physical, tangible reflection in the mirror that showed me that all these lies that I believed, and some of them for good reason because I had evidence, but they were still lies. Lies like, I'm a fuck up and I always will be. I'm never gonna change. Anybody who believes in me has somehow gotten fooled, and eventually they're gonna figure it out and leave. Like, these deep-seated, like, real talk, like, I did not like me. And when I sweated out, when I showed up, when I delayed gratification, when I surprised myself with what I was capable of, and then I looked in the mirror and I saw my body is changing. The number on the scale is, I don't care about the number on the scale. I don't like compete in those ways, but I started to see the natural consequence of making the choices that fitness requires of someone. You talked about like discipline versus motivation, and the level of consistency that is required to be fit. And when I started seeing that in my body on the physical level, then I realized on the mental, on the emotional, on the spiritual levels of myself, I couldn't believe those lies anymore, because I just like proved them not to be true. And so it was this great unlock for me to say, oh, now I have the courage, now I have the belief in myself that I'm probably capable of anything as long as I try. And there's this formula for what trying looks like.
Love it. Love it. Go ahead, give her a round of applause. I'm going to ask y'all, is it messing up the show that we're applauding? Should we hold it to the end or keep it going? Keep it going? Let's roll. No.
We're just not going to applaud these last two,
Yeah,
but they're going to have great audio clips.
Nate's gotten enough applause in his life. He don't need it. What to you, you're not originally from Austin, if I remember correctly, right? Or you are?
I'm Texas born and raised.
Right.
Let's make sure that's published.
Right.
But I'm from the Dallas area.
Ugh.
Yeah.
you a
I live in Austin for a reason.
There we go. What to you is unique about Austin, and especially building community in Austin?
Openness. I think it's a very welcoming community. There's a real open door policy. There's a real scooch over and let's make room at the table vibe of the city, no matter what type of community it is, no matter where the focus is or what the purpose of it is. There's just a general energy in this city that there is a place for everyone, and when you find that place, you're welcome there. And I love that, and I want to protect that. I want to stoke that as we grow into a bigger city, as it becomes a place where others want to come to build community because they've heard it's a good place to do that. I want to make sure that those who are leading the way, like yourself and everybody that I'm so grateful to share this chair with, and then all the other people that aren't here that are leading communities in this city, to stand for the fact that we're not doing it for the likes, we're not doing it for the brand deals, we're not doing it for all of that stuff. We're doing it for the individual that walks in that doesn't feel like they belong, and then when they leave, they have this inkling that maybe there is somewhere that they can belong, and that's really all that matters.
Love it. Good stuff. Yeah. We're not done.
Oh.
What does redemption mean to you?
What does redemption mean to me? I have been redeemed. It's that phoenix rising from the ashes. It's the rock bottom that you hear a lot about in recovery and in the world of addiction. It is the ability to change, to be different, and to allow yourself to grow and mess up and make mistakes and stumble and fall. Relapse is a part of my story in recovery. I think it's important to mention that because I don't ever want to paint a picture that it's not. And I also want people to see me and see what's going on and be like, and relapse was included in that. And one thing that I love about that is that somebody told me one time when I was just coming out of a relapse that when you fall on a race, we've been talking about running a lot, you don't then walk back to the finish line and start the race again. You dust yourself off and you keep moving forward. And I think redemption is just that continual commitment to keep moving forward from wherever right now is, whether it's the top or the bottom or somewhere in the middle. Turns out I got healthy enough to realize most of life happens in the middle. And it's messy and it's kind of boring and it's just like the day-to-day, and finding the beauty in it and being able to say, like, I'm not focused on anything other than right now, gratitude, and what the next step forward looks like. That's the process of redemption and just becoming who we're all supposed to be, because like we all in this room, everybody on this panel, like you're a great example of it, Shawn, of like tapping into the possibility, the full potential that we all possess. That I think when we really sit with it, it can blow your mind, like what we're all capable of. Because if we allow ourselves to be redeemed, if we lead with loves, if we ask ourselves the hard questions and we even try to find an answer to them, then every single person, addicts especially, not to call them out, but there's just this power to these people that are committed to letting the worst of yourself fall away and inviting the best of yourself in. And I think that's what being redeemed is. And I love that that's what you stand for, because we're all capable of it, addict or not. It's just a commitment to be a little bit better today than I was yesterday and step up with what that takes.
Everybody, Danny Smith. All right, now hold your applause. Next up is my boy, Nate Boyer. Now, anybody in Austin, you probably already know who Nate Boyer is. I know Nate Boyer because of the national news before I ever actually met the man, Nate Boyer. I was intimidated when I was going to meet Nate Boyer. If you guys don't know, he's Special Forces soldier. I'm going to brag on you a little bit. Special Forces soldier. Decided while he was over in Afghanistan that he wanted to play some college football, so he started long snapping while he was over in Afghanistan, right?
Pretty much.
Walked on at UT, made the team. Not only that, went out there and was with the Seattle Seahawks for a little while and has done nothing but amazing things since then. If you guys don't know, and this is one of the things I love bragging on you about, at the time there was a gentleman named Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick was protesting police brutality. He decided he was going to sit on the bench to do that. Nate wrote an open letter to the Army Times basically letting know what the flag means to you. Is that right? What the flag means to him. Colin Kaepernick read that, reached out to Nate. They sat down. When they walked out of that meeting, that is what initially got Colin Kaepernick to start taking a knee instead of sitting on the bench. What I always found funny was like the media ran with it and was saying he was being disrespecting for kneeling, not knowing that he had conversed with a Special Forces soldier that told him that was the way to be. So then I got to meet Nate Boyer for the first time, got to go on a run with him because our boy William Dyson met with him, and I was amazed what a cool individual he was. Nate Boyer, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, Shawn. Thanks for having me, brother.
Absolutely. It's an honor. What are you working on right now? Because you are a very busy man.
I'm working on a few things. Probably the one consistent thing is an 80th anniversary D-Day documentary. So in Normandy, 1944 is when D-Day occurred. If you've seen Saving Private Ryan or Band of Brothers or anything like that, details some of that battle and what went on there, and really turning the tides in World War II, at least in the European theater. And there's very few of these guys left. I mean, the young ones are 99. You know what I mean? So we've been interviewing these guys that are. I was just at a 102-year-old man's birthday today, who was a pilot at the time. A couple of the guys we interviewed are 106 now, still driving, which is crazy. You know, their license expires in like 10 years, and they're like, I don't know why, but hey, maybe I'll make it that long. But it's cool. It's been really special just to hear, to go out there and experience it, but then just to meet these living legends who have seen so much, experienced so much, been through a lot, talk about redemption, you know. Their stories and they're all over the map, talking about diversity of Austin, like the military communities, as you know, is also very diverse, and there's so many interesting stories. So that's the main thing, and just try not to screw that up, because it's like a lot of the last recordings these people will ever have. So it's important for me to make sure that they tell their story the way they want to tell it, and hopefully we do a halfway decent job at least of capturing that and weaving those stories together. So.
Hell yeah. Now there's a movie out there. It is called MVP. Nate Boyer started a company, organization. What is it?
Yeah, a nonprofit organization. Yeah.
Nonprofit called MVP. Now, one thing as a military member, I can tell you is once I got kicked out of the military, I was lost. I didn't know who I was without that uniform. And so I want Nate to speak on it a little bit like that and let them know what MVP is all about.
Yeah, it stands for Merging Vets and Players. Essentially what we do is we bring together veterans and athletes when they lose that uniform, when you've got this community, you've got this sense of purpose, you've got this identity, whether that's from the world looking at you in a certain way because you wear camouflage or a jersey, or you look at yourself in that way. And of course, the battlefield, the ball field, going to war, playing sports, completely different things, but so many other things are similar. And I bet you could, a lot of people could attest to that. Even if you have just veterans, military in your family, if you're a part of, intense running community or rucking community, like that, going through hard stuff together as a tribe, it really does bond you, and you sort of let the things that make us different go. You don't really focus on that. You just care about who's going to carry their weight, who's got my back when I'm struggling. I'm damn sure going to have their back when they're struggling, and that's really what it's all about. And but those careers end pretty young, 20s, 30s, and you feeling like you peaked at a young age. And what if you do live to be 106? And I got cut from the Seahawks at 34, and that was kind of old for even getting to play at that level. So a lot of these guys are 24, and that's over. And same with a lot of people that serve in the military, and then never finding or feeling like you're never going to find that spark again, or what made you feel so alive, and just that camaraderie is a scary thing. And so that's what MVP does, just rebuilding the locker room and the team room, and making sure everybody realizes we're not alone, and then finding these other communities like this one that we can be a part of and, bring ourselves back to life in a sense, and reignite that same feeling we had. Because it is, there's nothing like certain feelings in life. If you've ever experienced something in extreme or worked so hard for something, even if you didn't achieve it or you ended up losing, that's what the scoreboard says, you lost at the end of the game. Like if you worked so hard to get to some place and got to compete at a level, there's just really nothing like that. And that's what we want to make sure that we are continuing to strive for, and encourage one another in that fight, in that redemption story, really.
Let's go. Give him a round of applause. It's okay.
Thank you. I really wanted that.
Now, Nate did something for me. I don't think he ever know what he did for me, but him and one of my very good friends that's sitting in the crowd, Scott Smith, there was something they both did for me right around the same time. And it was something very simple, but it impacted me hugely still to this day. Both these dudes randomly just told me they loved me. I was texting with Nate. He said, I love you, bro. I was talking with Scott. He just said, I love you, bro. And for me, coming out of that time in my life, I'm coming out of being in prison. I'm coming newly sober, got to walk around, got to be a tough guy and all that stuff. But to see grown, strong men like that sit there and look at me and be like, I love you, bro, that hit me in the heart. And that is something I still do to this day. The people that are big in my life, I will let them know that I always love them. So Nate, Scott, thank you guys for doing that for me. Now, you might take a look at Nate. If you guys want to see one of the most amazing mustaches in the world, check out his Instagram profile. It's his profile picture. It's absolutely incredible. But you look at Nate, he's gracious enough to fly in from California. He's been in TV shows. He's been in movies. He's played in the NFL. He was a special forces soldier in the military. You look at somebody like that and be like, oh, that's a badass. Like, he probably doesn't go through anything. He doesn't have any shit. But can you give me an example of some adversity that you've been through and then how you overcame that?
Oh, man, every day, forever. We'll start there. I mean, and a lot of it's self-induced adversity. I mean, it's true. But I think, honestly, growing up and even today, like we all have insecurities, like some level of insecurities, and our insecurities differ, from different things, from things we've experienced or things that we made up in our head. That voice in your head's always chirping and not being nice often, and sometimes you listen to it, and eventually maybe you learn how to have conversations with it or ignore it when you need to or use it for fuel or whatever. But I tell people, and I mean it, like I think having those insecurities and failing and not being good at stuff when I was younger and not knowing how to work towards stuff and really applying myself, all of those are gifts eventually, like in some level now. They eventually became my strengths because it was like admitting, recognizing, and just not being okay with, but appreciating who I was, but also not letting that define like who I am. It's like I want to be something more, and I think I have that in me. I have the passion. I have the dreams. I never had a problem dreaming. I was always dreaming about stuff. But it just took, one day taking that step and getting on that flight or, day one in the gym or whatever that is towards that goal, and just showing up and then like showing up earlier the next day and just being consistent and not that it's always fun, but like it does produce results if you just show up and you just give everything that you have and pour yourself into that. So I still have plenty of, when I'm insecure about something, when I'm afraid of something, it's usually because I'm interested in it in some way, or there's a part of me that wants to be that or be in that world. And so I've tried to focus more on following my fears than letting those things sort of push me in another direction. I kind of, gravitate towards that now and more in life. And it may not be the actual path I take, but I think heading in that direction, especially when you're unsure, at least when I am, it certainly has kind of been a guiding light. Even though it's maybe the sign that you don't want to see, it is the sign for me anyway.
Now you flew in from LA. What would you say? What has a better community, LA or Austin?
There's a right and a wrong answer here. So just a heads up.
I say this all the time. If we could we'll all get shovels and we'll dig up around the edges of LA and we'll just pull it up and we'll drop it on the beach in Southern California with the weather.
Austin, you mean?
Yes, with the people.
Right.
Bring the Austin people.
Pull up Austin and take it to the beach. Okay.
We'll leave Koreatown and where all the good food is out in LA. But no, this community is special. It definitely is. LA's got those little pocket communities that are very interesting, but it's siloed in a lot of ways, even though there's 10 million people there or whatever. And the traffic sucks. But the traffic sucks here now too. So, but Austin is very special. I came here in 2010, so I'm not an OG, but I'm not super recent. And so I've seen a lot of the transformation. But I'll never forget getting picked up at the airport in a taxi cab, because this is before Uber and Lyft, and the taxi driver, who, they're all, not all, but a lot of them are pretty crazy, kind of kooky people. And I love to chat it up with interesting folks. And I get in the back seat. I was in my dress blues because I was going up to the admissions office trying to convince them to let me into college. So I figured dress the part, go in there and maybe they'll feel sorry for you and admit you into the University of Texas. And I get in the cab and the guy looks at me and he's like, "Have you ever been to Austin before?" And I was like, "No." And he's like, "Are you, what do you do in the military?" And I told him I was in the Special Forces, and he knew all about that stuff. And that's a very eclectic group as well. And he was like, "Well, you'll love Austin. All the cowboys smoke pot, and all the hippies carry guns." And I know that's not a sober thing, but that is a very Austin thing. Like those two things, I thought it was so interesting. It's just this place brings people from everywhere, from all walks of life. Not that LA doesn't, but they generally get along, support one another, have each other's back, very much like in the military community, very much like in the running community. And that's something that it's pretty hard to beat. So I say that all the time as well. I can't remember who said it, but I think Megan said it. I think it is the greatest city in America when it comes to the people.
Ladies and gentlemen, Nate Boyer. Now, our next guest. I one thing in my journey I always said was like, I'll never be the guy that's holding up his phone and doing the whole influencer thing and all that. Absolutely said I wasn't. Didn't concentrate on social media or anything. And then lo and behold, I start doing this and I become the guy that's holding his phone and doing all that stuff. And so delving out into the social media world, anybody that does it, at least for me, it was a lot, starting to put yourself out there, starting to put your voice out there, not hearing or knowing what people are going to think of you. Then you start navigating the social media world and you start navigating and people have large followings. And I mean, I've met a lot of people with large followings, and I'm going to be honest with you guys. A lot of the times I meet people with large followings and I ask myself, like, why? Like, why does this person have a large following? Like, they don't appear to be a good human being. They're not nice or anything like that. Everybody is not always what they appear on social media. I reached out to Brad. Brad is, this gentleman's Brad Dunn, Mr. Reliant Fitness over here. Has an amazing community of men, is a leader of men, does not mince words, believes what he says, and says it proud. And I reached out to him, started shooting the shit. And normally when you reach out to somebody with a large following, you ain't hearing nothing back. But I did hear back from Brad. And I started asking him, like, hey, man, would love to follow you out. Would love to have you on the show. He didn't tell me no. He was just like, yeah, man, like, we can talk. Lo and behold, I end up out in California. I let him know out in California. He invites me to go work out. It just so happens he lived 4 hours away from where I was. My ass rented a car, and I'm driving 4 hours because I get to go work out with Brad Dunn. And so I went out there, and I met one of the most level-headed, humble human beings I'd ever met. This dude has built a, I don't even know, I almost said kingdom, but you've built something that's very, very impressive, sir. So my first question for you is, people see you on social media, they see this put together individual with an amazing, beautiful family. He's disciplined, he's jacked and everything like that. But what was the world that you came from to get you to there?
Fucking chaos. You know, I thrived on chaos. You know, I was the typical knucklehead kid, drinking too much, snorting anything in sight, getting in fist fights, you know, and live to live fast. And fortunately, I kind of grew up and that life didn't claim me the same way that it does so many other people.
You were, one of the first things that had caught my eye about you is that you were a first responder.
Yes, sir.
Right? So what was it like coming from that world and then going into something like first responding? What was it doing a job like that where it's admirable? You can be proud of it?
Well, it was really me, like, just committing to something bigger than myself. And that was a big part of me kind of turning my shit around, so to speak, because I had lived like so selfishly for so long, and I knew that like committing myself to the fire service would bring me discipline, structure, purpose, all the things that I really fucking needed that I pushed away for so long. And I thank God for the opportunity to work as a firefighter, because it saved and it changed my life. You know, and now I get to serve on a different level. I don't wear a uniform or a badge anymore. I don't run into burning buildings, but I still get to help people get their shit together, turn their life around, and identify what life could look like and what they have the potential to be.
Right. One of the most important things that anybody's ever said to me is they looked at me, I was working in the treatment industry, and they looked at me and they asked me one question. They said, Shawn, are you going to continue to build for other people, or are you going to build for yourself? And when I heard that, it hit me deep in my heart. I went home, I talked to my beautiful wife, I called my family, and the next day I put in my month notice at my job, and I set out to build something on my own. This gentleman did the same thing. He started off as a firefighter. So what was it like for you, and what was the reason why you decided, I'm going to bet on myself and I'm going to try to build something?
Well, I mean, going from, you know, going back to square one, right? Like, I got in the fire service, I was back on track, discipline, consistency, service, all those things. And then I kind of got like complacent. And the whole reason I started Reliant Fitness is because I wanted to be the most reliable firefighter, like at my station, on my engine. So I had to be like the most physically fit, the most mentally strong, the most prepared individual, you know. And I saw a bunch of people around me who were just like showing up, treating it like a paycheck, and it drove me crazy. So I trained and got in really good shape and just tried to maintain this standard, right? And by transitioning my life into focusing into that level of kind of like almost go above and beyond, you know, not only for myself, but for the community I serve, my family, my partners. I really just divulged into the fitness and nutrition super tough. And it changed my life because I transitioned, I stopped drinking, I got sober, you know, I quit smoking, like all the things. And it brought a level of vision to me where I'm like, dude, I could help other people do this, because I know people struggle with training. I know people struggle with eating. I know that they don't know where to start, and there's so much misinformation and misguidance online, and I could lay it out to them in a way that's easily applicable, and they could start anywhere, you know. And maybe they're not bodybuilders, but I can definitely help you cut some fat and get fucking jacked and learn how to turn your life around. And I almost did it out of a level of necessity too. Not only could I help people, but I was like, I need to generate maybe a little extra income because I'm not getting the overtime that I see, you know. And I was able to build a community and build a business and build myself all like simultaneously. And it was a huge blessing. And now I have like over 400 active clients. I've helped well over thousands of people get their shit together. And I'm just super grateful that it's been something I've gotten to do, and I've gotten to continue to grow and expand on, and all the people I get to continue to meet. You know, it's been a huge blessing, and I'm just grateful.
Who's the primary person, or what's the type of dude that should sign up with you?
I mean, most of the men I work with are generally between 30 and 50 years old. They've built a life, and they've kind of lost sight of themselves, you know. So they've dedicated the last 20 years to building a career, building a family, and they've put everything of their dreams, their ambitions, their physical and mental state on the back burner for everybody else. And those are most of what I see, you know, these kind of middle-aged men that are like, dude, they're about to like maybe have a midlife crisis per se, and it's like they think it's too late. Like, oh, I can't get in shape. I can't change my life. I can't turn these stones over. And when they are introduced to the structure and the consistency and the community, that brings them that level of empowerment. Like, hey, bro, like when you learn to show up for yourself in these ways on a day-to-day basis, not only are you going to look better, live better, feel better, but you're going to see just what you're capable of. And I've helped these people obviously claim their sobriety, get in amazing shape, start new businesses, rekindle relationships, you know, all these things. Like fitness, it's, you know, it starts off as a fitness thing, but it is very much personal development based. Because like I was telling you yesterday, your mind and body are a vessel. It could be a vessel of destruction, or it could be a vessel of success. And I just want to help people turn their minds and bodies into vessels of success the best way that I know how.
Let's go. Give him a round of applause. Now, there's a common theme to everybody sitting up here on this stage right now. Number one is they've all built community, and number two is they all help people. These are some of the most successful people that I've ever met. They're some of the people that I look up to more than anybody, and this is the reason why I say I have such a badass crew up here sitting with me. So, what would you tell to somebody that hears your story, that feels the same way, they're 30 to 50, what is your number one piece of advice for them, besides sign up with you?
I mean, you have to align your actions with your goals. And if you're incapable of doing that by yourself, get involved with the community, get involved with the coach, practice a level of accountability. Because that's the biggest thing, is most people want these things, but they never take any necessary steps towards them. And they sit and wonder why. But when somebody, whether it's a coach or a community, can put together a framework, a structure, something for you to just at least follow and start to build momentum, that's the life-changing decision right there.
I know you have a couple we've talked recently, but do you have one moment where you'd say was your rock bottom moment, and then how did you pull yourself out?
So I'd say my lowest moment was when my dad passed away. My son, who's 10 now, was born, and then my dad passed away 2 weeks later, just unexpectedly dropped dead. So highest high, lowest low. And I didn't know how to deal with that. You know, the person that I felt like I needed the most, which was basically up and taken from me. And so I self-soothed with, you know, reckless behavior, alcohol, drugs, all those things, right? And pretty much ran a downward spiral for like 5 years before I decided to get my shit together. And really, it just came down to having a level of reflection and ownership of the habits I practiced and the lifestyle I was living, and that not only did I need to show up better for myself, but my kid, my wife, the people in my life that deserve that best version of me that everybody talks about, and really start to put one foot in front of the other to build that motherfucker.
Let's go. Now, I'm just letting you know, I'm going to ask him one last question, then I am going to open it up to the audience. I'm going to come out there, and I invite you guys to ask anybody up here on the stage anything you want to. Bank account numbers, personal secrets, go ahead and ask it. So please right now be thinking of some questions for me. What does the word redemption mean to you, sir?
I mean, I'd have to say that it's something, along the lines of, progress, not perfection. That's something I continuously tell my clients. You mentioned relapse, and you mentioned, everybody mentions a level of struggle, right? But there's nothing perfect about the road to redemption. We trip, we fall, we get back up, and it's the people who dust themselves off and continue to walk the path because they know that no matter what, if I continue to go this way, life's going to improve. Because as I get better, life gets better. That's just the cold, hard truth.
Ladies and gentlemen, Brad Dunn. Now, I gave you guys all of 30 seconds to think of some amazing questions, so what does we got there? I need to do something with that? First of all, I would like everybody, if you guys went back there and got a drink, if you guys went back there and were gracious enough to buy any I Am Redemption merch, the beautiful man and woman sitting back there are my mother and father. Can you guys go ahead and wave? I want to thank everybody for sitting here tonight because you guys made this one of my most proud moments ever, and I got to do this in front of my family, in front of my beautiful wife, and some of my best friends, my brother, my niece. They're all in town for this, so thank you guys. Does anybody have a question for anybody sitting up here with these badasses? Let's go. Thank you for not ghosting me. What do we got, sir?
For Terrence, is that your name, correct?
The ugly bald guy, that's him.
So, for someone that's interested in beginning rucking, what do you suggest for weight and distance?
Getting started in rucking, I would suggest go get any old backpack that you have before you start investing a bunch of money in it. Shove a sleeping bag down in the bottom, put some weight in it. I would suggest starting around 10 to 15 pounds so the weight sits up high, and go out and knock out 2 to 3 miles, see how you feel. If you like it, there's some great products out there. I'm a big fan of GoRuck products. They're a little bit on the pricey side, but they're the Cadillacs, They have a lifetime warranty, and I don't know. That's my suggestion. Just get out there and start doing it. Find a buddy to bring along, bring your dog, whatever.
What time does it start tonight?
8 p.m. You can go on a ruck with me. Well, as soon as this wraps up, we're going to do a little 3-miler right through this neighborhood right now, and everybody's welcome. I'd love to have all y'all join us.
It's an investment in your health, right? So
Everybody's going, right? Yeah. Can we give it up? Can we give it up for Andrew and Scott, the cameraman? Look at him, holding up light. My boy Jess over there. All right, we got another question.
At what point, and I don't know who wants to answer this, but at what point did you realize it's not about you and it's about your community, and how did you kind of get into that point? Because I think there's one point when it's about you, and then automatically you have that mind shift to your community. Whoever wants to answer it, I'm curious of what you guys think that turning point was.
Anybody else can add to this or totally delete it. But I think something that I realized pretty quickly is that when you make it about community, it's still about you, not in a negative way, but it's like, it is very fulfilling, and knowing that you are doing something that you love, because I don't think you shouldn't do those things. I think that's a weird way of putting it, but I think it's important to still do what you love. But I heard this quote before, I'm stealing it from this gentleman. But he said, do what you love to fight what you hate. And I hate feeling alone. I hate when I see other people that are alone, whether it's at an event or whatever, and you just can feel it where you're like, man, I wish someone was with them. I just feel like, that kind of feeling. So I think helping build community in that way and doing something for somebody else, it is for you too. It really is. And that's okay. It's okay to feel that, I think. I've always struggled with like feeling guilty or feeling selfish or because because I, had a good day or I felt lucky because I'm like, well, so many people are suffering, and it's such a disservice to yourself. You can still help those people, even if it's just little things, saying a nice thing, holding a door, and it's going to fulfill you as well. So I think it can and should be both, personally.
Thank you, sir. Now, real quick, if you guys want to listen, I'm going to let you answer in 1 second. If you guys want to hear one of the most incredible episodes of I Am Redemption, I want you guys to just go back a couple episodes. These two lovely ladies were on it. They are two of the most inspirational women you're going to ever meet. They had a video that went viral. That's how I found them. That video was of them showing up to their run group for their very first time. They set the phone up and they sat there and they looked exactly like I did showing up my first time, with sheer terror on their hearts. They're sitting there in the video. They're like, oh my God, they have their shirts off, this and that. And they went through that anxiety. And then I asked them, I was like, if you had one piece of advice, what would you ask somebody? What is that piece of advice?
Get out of the car.
Get out of the car. Then I told them to put that on a shirt, and then they showed up their shirts, and they didn't even bring me one. I know, I'm kidding. Go ahead, we had another one? Someone's going to answer?
I was just going to say, there's an old saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And that, I lived that lifestyle, living fast, and all that really got me was alone. And when I started reaching out to try to help other people, I've gone so far in life, and by doing, there's another old saying that says the meaning of life is to show another man his, and that hits me near and deep, and it's just that, when I go and I help other people, it puts me in a higher place, and I look back on life, I might not have everything I want, but I definitely never got everything I deserved, and I'm just grateful to still be here today.
I think also when you realize to show up for your community is when you just have to realize it's okay to be vulnerable and that your story matters, because there could be one person where God's given you your gifts, and it's because so that you can reach those people and not just, there's so many differences in us, and we say that Austin is so diverse and it's opening to anyone that finds the community that they need. It's because each person's voice, it is important. You might be the person that they need to experience to be able to realize that they can show up and that they can be vulnerable. So I would say just knowing that your story matters, because sometimes you could sit up here and be like, it doesn't really matter. But then, like Nate said, feeling like it's selfish to show up, but that it's okay to show up because that person might need to hear that.
Woo! Good stuff.
Real quick, Nate, what your answer brought up for me was a word that has been really prevalent for me this year. The word is reciprocity. And I think that's what community allows for. When I was in addiction, it was a zero-sum game. It was I win, you lose, you win, I lose. And I was fighting and clawing my way through this scarcity mindset life. And then when I got healthy, I started to feel what reciprocity felt like, this give and this take. And I learned that whatever I'm getting is one half of a feedback loop that is showing me what I'm giving. So I like your, answer that says it's got to be both, because I think that's what healthy community, healthy leadership, healthy membership in the collective group that is, whether that's your nuclear family or your gym or a community that you're intentionally being a part of, it's that reciprocity of giving and getting and giving and getting and letting that stay in harmony and in equilibrium. That's when stuff gets really cool and people really can thrive and feel that belonging and do a lot more than get out of the car. And then you have people like Shawn.
Let's go. That might have been the question of the night. You got 4 people. Good stuff. Anybody else got a question? Don't fall.
Yo, you weren't kidding. We got some badasses out there. I'm fired up. Thank you guys all for sharing. Thank you, Shawn, for putting this on. Something I sit with as a community builder is when I reflect on what is the problem in the world, what starts all conflict, and it's a lack of understanding of other people. It's a lack of curiosity of understanding other people. And yes, Austin is beautiful. I've been here for 8 years. It changed my life, and I'm very grateful, and I want to continue to be here. And it's the people, but how can we populate that to the world and use our brands and our communities to do that. So I'm asking my question for everyone here. How are you using your brand to get people within your community to actually connect with each other, understand each other, be curious with each other, whether it's creating events or, yeah, it's an open question.
I'll answer. I mean, so a large part of what I do is the social media aspect, right? That's how I've built my community and my brand, is by getting very active and loud on social media. And that's what I encourage people to do, right? Whether you have a small platform, whether you are trying to build a big platform, like get out there and share your ideals, your beliefs, the things that you do, and the people that resonate with it will naturally seek you. And just because they're not necessarily in your direct area doesn't mean that they can't be part of your community. I have members in my community all over the world, and we connect from in Zoom, school, FaceTime, all these different avenues that are available in today's age. And, that has brought such a massive expansion into what is possible and what you can really do. So I would lean into social media and really push, your ideals of what your community is based upon.
Yeah, I come from kind of the social media space too, where it's really uncomfortable to put yourself out there. But it is so worth it because you can reach so many people that you never could just being here in Austin. We have girls that come out to our Know Your Power retreats that live like all over the world. But that's because sometimes in the community that they don't have anybody that's interested in health and fitness. Maybe they're getting made fun of for like eating healthy or going to the gym, and they're looking for someone, and maybe they see his video pop up, they see one of my videos pop up, and it could be a Facebook community, it could be running events, it could be even starting an Instagram like group, something super simple like that. I have girls in our little forum, and we're talking from all over the world. We do Zoom calls, mindset calls every Monday night, and a lot of them don't have that support wherever they're living. They don't have somebody that's like, go to the gym, or thinks that like it's really cool when they hit a PR, and I'm like, let's go. Like everybody needs that. So social media, if you're sitting back and being like, oh, I'm not gonna do that, you're dumb. It's the way that the world is going, and do it in your own way. And it can be so incredible.
I'll add to that, for myself, like I have this weekly community event that I put on, and I was gonna go out and do a 5-mile ruck, 6 a.m. every Saturday regardless. So I was like, what the hell, I'll see if anybody else wants to show up. And it started out like I showed up, and then it was me and my dog. And then it was me and a couple guys and my dog. And then the next thing you know, people keep showing up. And one of the things I've learned in doing, you alluded to it earlier, is doing hard things together, so did Nate, creates a bond. And it's my group of people normally would not probably mix. And by going out and doing something challenging and adapting to whatever adversity shows up, you learn about yourself, you learn about the person sitting next to you. And this dude right here, this person right here is gonna be there for me when I know what she's made of. And I know when it gets tough that I can lean on her. And then she knows what I'm made of, and she can lean on me. And that's how it works, man, is when we go and we put ourselves in adversity and go and do challenging things, we learn about ourselves and we learn about the people that are next to us.
Somebody over here had a question. Carrie, how we doing?
I'm great. How are you? Hi. My question is not really a question, but this is for the women. Who was the woman in your life that inspired you to start pulling women up?
I'm going to say my mom, because I always, from when I was little till all the way to now, she always had the abundance mindset, and it was always that we help everyone, not just even women in particular, but just anyone. But I saw her treat women great, and know that you can lift them up while you lift up, because we're more powerful as a collective versus well, if you see one lady be rude and then you're like, oh, well, she didn't have my back when I'm not in the room. I didn't see that growing up, but I saw my mom treating everyone kind, fair, and being there when they needed it.
I'd say it was my mom too. I talked about this on my podcast the other day where I didn't realize it until now, but my mom was instilling so many of these things in me when I was young. Like I'd come from school and be like, so-and-so did this, and she copied my outfit. And my mom would be like, well, what's going on in her life? Like, is she okay? Like maybe she's copying your outfit because like she likes it. And I'd be like so mad, like be on my side. And then I now realize that like my mom is always that woman, like at her age, to go and compliment people, to tell them something that she sees in them and make everybody feel loved. And I love that she does that. And now I take that and have my girls in our community, like take that into your gyms, because there's another girl, it's her day one, and she's in there like worried about her outfit, or like if someone's watching her, and you be that person to compliment her. You be that person to recognize the light in her, because you never know who's gonna need it. So for me, it was my mom.
I love my mom so much, and for me, it was not my mom. I've had a lot of really badass women in my life, and I've always sought that out, actually. As I was thinking of the answer to the question, I consistently had women that were relatively significantly older than me that I was asking to hang out with me, that I was trying to understand, I like how you are, how can I be like you are? So when I was in middle school, that was high schoolers in my church youth group. And when I was in high school, that was college students that were volunteering through this organization I was a part of. And when I was in college, it was my professors and graduate students and all of these things where I just had this insatiable desire to be mentored, I think. And like, knowing that was that, like, even when I wasn't my healthiest and my best, like I had an awareness of my potential to be great. And I was like, I'm not going to figure this out on my own. So let me go ask some other women that I feel like they know what they're doing, like what they're doing. And then the opportunities that they've had to pull me up. And now I'm starting to turn this corner where I have opportunities to pull other women up. And it's so cool. And women are really good about that. Like as soon as we get something, we're like, how do we share it with everybody? And that's what I love about women. But I mean, this may not be shocking, or maybe it is, but I was a guy's girl my whole life. Like the way that I communicated that I had a crush on a boy until like puberty was like, you want to race? And then I'd like smoke him in the race at recess, and then he like wouldn't talk to me. And I was like, I grew up and I was like, that's emasculation. That's not going to work. So I just was constantly surrounded by dudes. Like my dad was my best friend. I played sports. Like the football coach wanted me to come be the kicker because I was playing soccer. Like I didn't do that, but I was just always very like getting along with dudes, easy. Getting along with women, a little bit more nuanced. And when I was able to, again, stop seeing it as a competition and start seeing it as a collaboration, my relationships with women thrived and have become the most important relationships. So I am inspired. Like my best friend is one of the most inspiring people in my life. She has a YouTube channel and works a corporate job and is an incredibly caring individual and takes care of her family. And like, sometimes we talk and I'm like, we should have recorded this. Like this was gold, And when I show up at the gym and I see like, my friend walks by and she's like, you gonna put some 10s on the side of that, or are you having like an off day, And just we're pushing each other, we're calling each other up. And I think women do that really well when we look at each other in the eye instead of, looking each other up and down. Exactly what you just did. So yeah, I think just seek it out and you'll find it.
I feel like you're my spirit animal. I was like, we're the same person. During that time where I felt like I was like, I'm a dude in a girl's body. I realized I needed to become the kind of woman that I'd want as a friend. I wasn't like, I was like, why don't I have any friends? Like I literally cried and said like, what's wrong with me? And it was because I wasn't acting like the kind of friend that I would want in my life. And it was so uncomfortable. It started with me like going up to a girl at the gym and being like, hey, you lift weights? I do too. And it was so uncomfortable, but I knew that I needed to bring the energy out that I wanted to receive. And it's incredible what that can do. Now I have this like badass group of women that I never thought I would have. And I'm like, they want to be friends with me? I'm like, it's so cool. So if you can do that, it has a domino effect. It really does. Because she's my best friend now. She doesn't know it.
I really want to lift with you. Yeah, you're going to push me to my limits.
Thank you. Next question. We got one? All the way from Boston.
Let's go. Oh my gosh. Wow. What an honor it is to just like listen to these badasses' stories, like the passion and like just everything that everyone has endured to get to where they are right now, right? And like all the adversities throughout your life. And something that I was just thinking about is, and this is what I want to ask you guys is like, what would I tell my younger self to like, at like those lows, right? We all have had those lows, but like at the lowest low where you don't want to continue or, you don't think you continue, like what would you want to tell yourself, right? Your younger self, if you could go back right in time and just be like, just keep them going.
It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't.
That's what I would tell myself like over and over. Like the things I was worried about, like whatever everybody else thinks, or like how I'm gonna perform on this thing, the grade, the score, the achievement, like it doesn't matter, because that hung me up a lot. And I think if I had a regret, because I really don't feel like I have too many, and I'm grateful for that, but the ones that I do have is waiting too long to take that first step to get out of the car. You know what I mean? Maybe there's value in that. For sure, in some ways, because I eventually did push through, even though I know it can go the other way, where you get so paralyzed that you never do anything, But I still look back at times and I'm like, man, why did it take me like 5 years to do that thing that I wanted? Why didn't I just do it? Who cares if I fell on my face? Like, you're gonna fall on your face 5 years later, also when you start doing that thing. So why wait? So. Yeah, I would just say it doesn't matter, man. It just don't worry about that. All that stuff, it doesn't matter.
I would say this to my younger self, and I say it to the present version of myself, and I'll say it to the future version of myself, because it helps me take that step and move forward. It's what my soccer team used to chant before we started the game. We kept it really simple. Hard work beats talent when talent fails to work hard. And then when I started to work hard, and my talent started to come through, I kind of would add it on, and what happens when someone talented works really hard. And so whenever I'm sitting there being like, what do? I just hear that hard work beats talent when talent fails to work hard. And then I know I'm talented and I've seen what I can do. What happens if I put that hard work behind that? And it's kind of like for me, like that, like gets the engine to start to go, and I'm pumping myself up, whether it's getting out of the car to go to the gym because I agreed to like meet someone at 6 a.m. to work out, not a morning person, or something really hard in my business or something really hard in my personal life, having a tough conversation, just like that grit that everybody displays in this story, that Shawn displays, that all of you guys have a version of in your story. That hard work will beat any talent any day, and that consistency to show up.
And that's in everybody. Like, there's nothing special about us. Everybody has that ability to tap into that at any moment in time. Like, it's crazy. I don't know if you guys agree with me, but I'm like, you all have it. And you know it too. That's the thing. It's just about, like you were saying, he was saying, getting out of the car.
Getting out of the car, I'm telling you, it's catchy. Put it on a shirt.
Business idea?
It's real simple. Don't give up. I know for myself that everything happens for a reason, and whatever I'm going through, if I just don't give up, most in my experience for myself and seeing in other people doing like challenging endurance and thing, most of the time, it's not an injury that takes people out. It's what's going on between the ears is what takes people out. And I know for myself, when stuff gets real thick, I got to look for somebody else. Like I do that 75 miler. When it gets real thick, I turn to somebody else that's going through something worse than me and see what I can do to bring them out of it. And when I do that, my problem seems to becomes less, and that's it. Just never give up. And when it gets real thick, reach out to try to help somebody else out.
I have to agree with Nate when he said what you would tell your younger self would be, it doesn't matter. I would go back and say, don't care what people think, because they're going to dislike what you're doing regardless if they're going to dislike it if they agree with it or if they don't agree with it. At some point, someone's not going to like it, so you might as well do it for you. And that's what I'd go back and tell my younger self.
I think a lesson that I've learned, maybe overlapping work with my personal life, that I do wish that I learned a little bit sooner is offering myself a level of grace, allowing myself to make mistakes and being okay with that. So I think whether it be whatever discipline that we've spoken to tonight and whatever discipline that will continue on tomorrow in your own lives, it's I think I've won and lost plenty of games or races, but without context, it doesn't mean much. And losing things, whether it be relapsing or not hitting a particular goal or whatever you may be putting efforts towards achieving, there's lessons there. And I think once I realized what that meant, maybe more so challenging myself on the work front, which is a lot of community building, much more than just a running shoe store, it helped me, of course, forgive myself for shortcomings, but it also offered maybe context for that person that's next to me and allowing them to also make mistakes, whether it be my teammates or people that I work alongside. And I think there's beauty and I think there's power in that, and knowing that people here are struggling, whatever shade of struggle that looks like. And I think there's a level of humility that comes with that, sure. But I'm maybe grateful that I have learned that lesson now, because it gives me a lot of context for the other individuals around that. Not perfect, man. Ain't nobody here perfect, obviously, which is makes me feel really comfortable being up here in front of all these cameras. You know what I mean? But that's okay. It's okay to be to fail. What's maybe not okay, or maybe a potential shortcoming and an opportunity for me and for us always, right, will be what can we learn about ourselves and what can we learn about other people to meet them where they are.
Everybody, please give this panel a round of applause. Now, again, I want to thank Jason for making tonight possible here at Squatch Frontier Fitness. Afterwards, we're going to be doing the Ruck March, but the fun does not stop there. I invite every single one of you, please, tomorrow morning, 7:30 tomorrow morning, we are doing a run with Kaylee. I've tried to invite the entire Austin running community. I want her to feel what it feels like when we all run out and set out with her and let her see the support that she has. After that, we have an amazing community workout led by one of the most fit individuals I know over here, Bray. Go ahead and raise your hand, Bray. We got a badass community workout we're going to jump to. Then we have our second 100th episode live show. We're going to have A and B. We got our second live show downtown at the Powder Room. Please, if you guys haven't already, if you're coming, please grab your tickets. And then we are doing an after party right here at Squatch, 7 p.m., led by my boy Trip right here. Trip, go ahead and raise your hand. Trip represents More Perfect Union. There's going to be fun. There's going to be food. There's going to be all the things. And then Sunday morning, we are going to ruck